Hey guys, welcome to the Real Life Everything podcast. We're your hosts, Ebony Westwood
and Kristen Noel.
Here on the RLE pod, we dive into the real, relatable, and raw topics as we navigate adulthood and real life our dreams.
Our mission is to support women by encouraging authenticity, self-awareness, and celebrating all our real life wins and sisterhood along the way.
What are you real life in today, Chris?
I'm real lifing everything. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, I'm Ebony Westwood.
And I'm Kristen Noel.
And welcome back to the RLE podcast. Tonight, we're just going to continue the conversation from our last episode. And so we welcome you back.
Yes, and to recap, last episode we were talking about just the balance of how it looks to walk in our purpose and be present on social media and how it's so easy to get caught up in the pressure of how we should appear, and also dealing with the scammers and people who are not what they say they are.
Yes.
Fake experts. So yeah, we're just talking about how that looks in our lives and just like how we deal with that as people who are our own brands, but we are also rooted. We're also trying to be rooted in our authentic selves and what God really is calling over our lives. So yeah.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers to part 2. Yes. Oh, this is good. It's fresh. Yes. It's expensive.
This ain't no Andre.
Yeah, no, this is right. This ain't no Andre. This is expensive. All right, so let's get into it.
So yeah. So where were we? We were talking about just like how Clubhouse and the scammers and just like you being in the social media influence.
Because Ebony was touching on how she just felt like she had to like be this person, like show up as this person every single day.
Yeah.
But we started touching on how we have to recognize when we're showing up as this perfect person and we're only trying to show up as perfect, it's causing other people who are looking up to us and who are admiring us to feel like that's how life has to be for them.
Yeah.
And I think it's an unhealthy just rabbit hole to go down because it's unrealistic.
It is.
Behind the scenes, we're all living our own lives. We all have bloopers in our
Yes.
lives. So, on social media, 9 times out of 10, everyone's showing the highlight moments of their lives and not the moments where they're doubting themselves or they're, in tears or they're going through personal things,
Right.
It's just, remembering that life still happens and it's okay to not show up as just a perfect person.
Right. And to never show our less than perfect moment.
Yeah.
Or our low lights. Sometimes
Yes.
being transparent and sharing the low light as well as the highlight.
Yeah.
What did you feel like was kind of like your turning point for you? How did you climb out of just that pressure, having brought yourself to tears at times? Like, what do you think was a turnaround moment where you kind of started detaching from this whole social world and having to maintain this image all the time?
Yeah. I think you actually used like the right word, detachment. I was attached. And I had to become aware that I am attached to something that is not real or, it's just really not my ministry to be attached to. You get what I'm saying? So once I learned that I was attached to social media in that way, I feel like that was just a part of the awareness that I needed in order for me to like realize I need to take a step back from, not necessarily take a step back, but like I don't need to look at social media in this way anymore.
Yeah. Right.
So a part of that is just being aware that I was attached, and then once I became aware, I started yearning to show up on social media different. I realized that my life was different than what I was making it out to be or what people knew me as. Like in the not early 2014, but in 2014, during that era, like I was also known as a stylist to many, right? And I aspired to be one of the best stylists or household fashion brand names that you hear. And so I worked very hard to like manifest that and make that happen. But the other side of me was going through real life shit. Like I was a new mom. I was experiencing postpartum depression. You know, I was struggling with my own identity. You know, and
You're going through a transition in life during that time.
a real hard
transition.
transition. It was something you
Yeah.
said earlier. I just want to say really quickly where you were saying that the changes or the struggle in life help you become the woman you are today. I feel like the struggle helps build character.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So once I realized that what I was experiencing offline was nowhere near, like I remember when I was living in Atlanta, this was 2014. I remember going to bed at night just within those four walls in my room. When my head hit the pillow, I was just like, I didn't feel alive. I didn't feel like, you know, again, that was also the time where I felt like if I didn't do something in my day and if I didn't show everybody what I was doing, then I felt like my life was pointless or useless.
Wow.
But that was also because I was living, in a sense, like living up to what I felt like other people thought of me, what they expected from me.
Yeah.
But when my head hit that pillow time after time after time, and I realized I was not happy, that, you know, I was really going through some real shit, you know, as a new mom and trying to navigate a new location. I just moved to Atlanta, my job didn't transfer with me. I had a really good job when I was living in North Carolina. My job did not transfer my job did not transfer with me, so I was going through changes with finances, just all those things. When I realized, like, what I'm showing y'all is not what's really happening in my real life, like, something got to give, and what needed to give was my attachment to social media and my attachment to showing people what I felt like they needed to see or needed to know about me, because some idea that they built in their head about me, I needed to let that thing go. And that was 2000. I went through that for like 2 years that I can remember. In 2016, when I moved back to Virginia, I felt like that's where I began to have life again. Like, that was also, my daughter at that time was, I believe, 5. I had a conversation with a young lady early 2016. I didn't know this young lady from nowhere, but we had a conversation. The thing we had in common was that we were parents, we were moms, single moms, and she was just having a mirror conversation with me. Everything she was saying out her mouth, it felt like I was looking at myself in the mirror and having a conversation with myself. I remember her just telling me about her experience of being a single mom and going through postpartum depression. And nobody never sat down with me and talked to me about postpartum depression. And when we had that conversation, I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel like that's me. Like, you're telling me my story, you know, like, and it was scary, but at the same time, it was necessary because I needed to hear that in order for me to just like wake up and snap out of depression and start to like snap into reality and start to live my life on purpose. So around just that 2014, 15, 16, it's crazy because you were also doing the modeling thing, and we were friends, and no way could I tell that you were going through, you know, what you were going through. And I'm sure you could not tell that I was going through what I was going through, but we were going through what we were going through in the same era. And the fast forward, here we are almost 10 years later, and I'm like, yeah, that's a no for me. Like, I'm good on that, you know? So just kind of getting back to what I was saying earlier about being a brand expert and like teaching my clients how to show up. My number one rule is to show up in your most authentic way. But at one point when I first tapped into being a branding expert, I felt like I was kind of like living that double-edged sword, because I'm telling you the content that you need to put out, or the purpose of social media these days is to get the person on the other side to visualize living the life that you're living. And you know,
and you're not the only one though. There's a lot of like lifestyle marketing out there that kind of is like, oh, you should do this because this is the life that I get to have. And I think that's such a fine line.
It's a fine
because
line.
We can be inspired by that. I definitely am inspired if I do see somebody who can live a freedom lifestyle and they have achieved a level of success. Like, there are certain lifestyle factors that I'm influenced by, but it's so nuanced in how that is messaged and how you are sharing that to people. If you're like, you know, do this because you can drive a Lamborghini versus like, do this if this is your calling. You know, like there's a nuance there.
Yes.
And how that's communicated.
And how it's like, and now, and on social media, at least like right during the pandemic and shortly after, when it was still like super new to us, all you heard online was people walking your authenticity, walking your authenticity.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't hear it as much now as you did
But
before.
it was.
But it was like a huge thing, and it's like, okay, that sounds good. Yes, you know, I'm glad we're walking, like we're in that era where we can walk in our authenticity. But like, there's also that question in the back of your head, is like, are you really walking in your?
That reminds me of a quote. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to these mantras, this affirmation mixtape by Toni, somebody I feel like. Let me see. But she has a quote on her tape that says, "Authenticity is an inside job. It's not a brand to market myself as relatable." Meaning, and she goes in on that track just about how authenticity was this huge buzzword, 2020 and beyond, and how it started to become a thing where it's just like, are you really being authentic, or are you just trying to be authentic for the people?
For the people.
And then it's like oversharing in the name of authenticity too. Like you gotta be careful about that as well.
That kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier too, at least from what I'm gathering.
My bad.
You're fine. Again, it's going back to like getting that alone time.
Toni Jones, by the way.
Toni Jones. Okay.
I see me mantras. They're really good.
You shared that with me the other day, didn't you?
Was it on the show?
You said something about, no, I think you shared it with me. Yeah, you texted to me.
Yeah,
I still got to listen to it.
It's a really good little mixtape. She talking that talk on there.
But that quote that you just said, like, it's an inside job. It's like, it's one of those things. It's not a brand. It's an inside job. And that inside job to me sounds like what you do in your home, what you do in your day to day, what you do offline, what you do in real life.
And doing the work in real life. Taking that time to get to really know who you are. And that's why when you were talking about the, be authentic era and, people preaching that, it's like, the number one question during that time was probably, well, how do I do that? Because everybody is so busy looking at their phones and scrolling, and they're looking at what other people are doing and getting ideas from it, being influenced, and they start to lose themselves. So, we're back at a point where it's like, well, how do I even be authentic?
No, for sure. That's so crazy you say that. I definitely feel the same way too.
There was nothing else going on. Everybody was online.
Yeah.
And I remember because I was getting the most engagement I ever got. Period.
Yeah.
So, I remember everybody, we were locked up in the house. We were watching verses. We were
just
on social media. So I can see how easy it is. Like we're not really going to work. We're not really spending time around people. We're literally just scrolling.
I was going to say, I think the answer to that, or one of the many answers to that, because there's no right or wrong, but like when you are not so distracted.
Yes.
Because during that time we wasn't distracted. You know what I mean? Like a pandemic happened. We couldn't be outside and on social media and doing this and doing that. Like it was just only one thing that we can really do, and that was one, to stay home. And when you stay home, you are still.
Yes.
You
spend a lot of time with yourself.
You spend a lot of time with yourself. And if you serve the God that we serve, you spend a lot of time with God too.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? There's no distraction. So therefore, you're not searching, asking, well, what does authenticity look like? Because he's showing it to you.
I think people are asking that because they don't really know what that looks like.
Yeah.
But then there are the people who were doing the work during that time.
During that
sitting
time.
with themselves, sitting with God. But there were probably people who were lost, just like, what does that look like
What
for
does
me?
it look
You
like?
know?
Yeah. Woo. That was good. Y'all want to do it? Oh, I thought you were about to say something else. Y'all want to do another icebreaker? Yes.
I forgot we even started with
G, you go ahead.
Let's see. What is the greatest lesson you taught me?
Ooh. Again, I know you.
So are you?
No, you have to answer that question.
What is the greatest lesson you taught me?
Yeah. So like,
So I'm asking myself that.
what is the greatest lesson myself or Kristen taught you?
Okay.
I feel like because you've been also listening to our
Yeah.
I want to say
like,
blogs, but yeah.
Okay.
Our podcast, you've learned a lot about Chris.
Yeah. I feel like with you, especially watching the podcast, I was telling Ebony just how amazing you are, like how much you know, like you are you are a resource, like you are definitely a go-to person. If you, especially in the business world, that's what it seems like in the business world, like if I needed anything when it comes to like branding or maybe getting my business up and running or even just networking. It seems that you know a lot.
I
Seems.
appreciate that.
No, that girl knows.
Because I haven't been
Yeah.
here.
No, but that's true though. I have so many just
Yes.
resources in my back pocket. Like if anybody needs anything, like I got a link for you or something
Yes.
or a person. So that's dope though.
But even beyond that, Ebony talks about how like if y'all are, let's say, at an event, like you will go up to people and just like start conversations with them. Like you just know how to network and maneuver in a room. That I admire.
I admire
That is
too.
not me. I'm in the corner.
I
to
admire.
myself.
Yeah, I admire that so much about you,
I
girl.
received that, and I can flip that to you as well. 'Cause I still remember that first networking event that we went to, and I felt like Eb's energy was just so like, I'm here. Like we didn't know anybody, but I felt like she was so magnetic, and I loved that in
Yeah.
Eb as well.
Which one was our
She
first
is.
one? Remind me
I think
again.
it was a brunch. It was like a financial wellness brunch.
Mhm.
Was it that
I
one?
couldn't remember if it was that one or the other one where we kept eating all that food and getting your friend was a DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was like
That was
it was an Amazon
Yeah,
event.
Oh, that was fun.
I came across either that photo or the other event photos the other day, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to like share this on our platform. Be like, we've been in the game for 2 years, y'all.
Yes.
But thank you, like, woo, girl. I can only imagine what I look like trying to navigate in that room. Because like yourself, G, like I had, like a couple of years ago, I was the girl. I had to get in the corner. I had to do a room temp first, and then once I'm like comfortable of knowing who's in the room, I would just go out and like then become this bubbly person that I am. But now I don't get in nobody's corner. I go out, I
here.
speak, I'm
Like,
here. Yeah, but that comes from like what we were saying too, just doing like that inner work.
Yeah.
Mine's may be different from a lot of other people, but like I just felt like imposter syndrome. I felt like everybody in the room was smarter than me, brighter than me, had more going on for themselves. I would like listen to people. Oh my gosh, when I reflect, I just thank God for healing and growth. Cause baby, but yeah, I would like listen to people and see how they introduce themselves, and then I would study that. So when it was ever my turn to introduce myself in a room full of people, I would just try to sound as posh as them. But like, it doesn't happen as often as it used to. So I thank God for that.
So what do you think your greatest lesson is from Ebony?
Okay. So it's kind of what you were saying with the healing part. I think that with everything that has happened with our friendship and being where we are now, I feel like I learn more from you now than I did before, and just seeing the person that you've grown into. And for me, I think it teaches me, for one, to not be afraid to show up as who you are today, even when you're around people who knew who you were back
The
then.
past you.
Because sometimes the past you can start to kind of creep up because those relationships are so familiar, and that's who you were
Yes.
in those relationships in the past. But for me, I think because I see like who you are right now, it's like you have just like really grown, and I can tell that you've done the work. Like by the way that you talk, the things that you say, your mindset. If I come to you for advice, like the answers, the conversations that we have, I just see so much growth that I didn't get from you before. And we both grown, but it just makes me feel much more confident to not hold back and just show up as who I am. 100% who I've grown to be. And then there's another thing, and it just slipped my mind.
Oh,
But
well,
it was
let's
two
toast
things
to
I
that
wanted to
first.
say.
I love that.
Beautiful.
I love everything you both just shared. But I'm all about like walking in my truth and like getting everybody around me in a place of walking in their truth and their authenticity and like and vulnerability. Like I wear that hat. Like
You do.
I do.
That's another one. That's another one.
and I'd be
Girl.
like, honestly, if you can't be vulnerable around me, then I don't know how this gonna work because I don't know what other way
Any other way to be.
honest because I'm such a judge-free person. I'm all about accountability. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to come off judgmental, but I will hold you accountable because I believe in self-accountability. But I'm also like, girl, let your hair down. Let's talk about this real fast. So that's beautiful, G. Thanks, girl. Cheers to that. All right. Did you something else you wanted to say? Because I want to
No,
pull.
that was it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pull. Let me see what we got. This could be our last one for the evening if we need to as well. Ooh, I'm a little hot. I love champagne, by the way, y'all. Right. I love champagne, by the way, so I'm kind of already through my first glass.
Right.
Ooh. Okay, this is for both of you. Okay. All right, so whoever want to answer first, that's fine. What mistake do you see me making repeatedly, and why do you think I keep making it? That's a really good.
No, that's why I was asking that.
Oh, really?
I was trying not to look over.
And I was trying not to look over there too, because I know.
You want to come over
We
here?
might have a right. We got.
Oh my God. You got something you need to say?
Because there's somebody in the room who knows her more intimately than we do. So.
Let's talk about it. Rich, come on over for a second.
He's like, nah.
Oh,
nah.
okay.
So that's gonna have to be another
Do you want to
episode.
say it out loud and then we'll repeat it? Go ahead.
She's inviting you.
I'm all about my truth. Let's do it.
Uh-uh.
Say it and then we'll repeat it. Ah.
So it's a pretty personal
Just
question.
give me an episode. And I'll say
Oh, okay.
Well, this could be the intro to the next episode. All right, coming soon.
He gotta prepare how he want to say this, cause.
Girl, he know he can. Anyway, go ahead.
But I can say honestly, I don't have an answer for that. 'Cause
Are you
I don't
sure?
see you making. I don't see you making mistakes repeatedly. To be honest, like I feel like the growth is visible. You know, just like Gigi was saying, I haven't known you as long as Gigi, but I've known you for what 2+ years now, and I can see so much tremendous growth already.
Wow.
I don't see you making mistakes. Like, I don't, I'm sure we all do. Everybody
Yeah.
makes some type of mistakes, but I don't see them. Maybe I don't spend as much of that intimate time with you to know what you're doing every single day in your life. But I will say that in your relationships, just the ones that I've witnessed, you haven't been making those same mistakes.
Thank God for that.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
just the self-love is radiating through, and just honoring your needs, honoring where God is calling you. Also, with your real estate journey, trying again. You might have failed one time, but going for it again and passing this time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Thanks,
I can't
Chris.
really say I genuinely don't have an answer to that.
But I would like to use that as a prompt for us to spend more intimate time with each other. Not because we have to have an answer,
Right.
but like I think this would be like a good
Agreed.
moment where we can just like moving forward spend more intimate time with each other too. So,
Agreed.
aw, thanks, Boo. I
Do you
appreciate that.
think that you could answer that for yourself? Like, what
Oh,
mistakes?
girl, of course.
Okay,
Like
so
I'm,
what would you say?
like I said, I'm all about like accountability. So, okay, let me let Gigi answer it first, and then I'll answer it.
I don't really have an answer.
What?
I don't. I think it's only because of we've been having some really good conversations, one-on-one and in a group chat. So it's like I just see you holding yourself accountable, and I see you acknowledging things. Like we have conversations, and I may have pointed some things out to you, and you'll look back on them, and you're like, you know what, G, you might be right. So I feel like and even things that you brought to me, and it's like I feel like I might be doing this, but you're holding yourself accountable, and you're taking it from there. So outside of that, Rich probably really could be the best person to answer the question outside of you. Because, we're not here 24/7 with you.
Yeah.
So, but as far as like the big things and the person that I know you to be, I can't see you like repeating a lot of big mistakes.
Big mistakes. Yeah. That's
Day
why.
to day, look, we all gonna make the same mistakes.
Right, we all
Yeah.
fall off the
I
wagon a
say
little
too
bit.
much sometimes.
Yeah.
I
You say you do what
of
too
the
much?
I say too much of the wrong thing sometimes at the wrong time. So, and I'm working on that. But that's a mistake that I'm probably gonna make again. But the big life mistakes, I think that I can't see it.
Yeah. And at this point, I really am curious to know what Rich going to say.
Exactly,
Because
right?
when we categorize it and we say big mistakes compared to small, I mean, I can't think of any big mistakes. I think, as I was saying earlier, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier today or on this pod, that this has been like one of the best years for me. And I can't really think of a big mistake that I made last year or 3 years ago or 10 years ago again this year. So I have to agree with you ladies there. I definitely see the growth. But small mistakes, I mean, I think like, and we all probably can relate here, right? Yeah, something light, something we all can relate to. Time management, well, not time management, procrastination.
And staying up all night.
Instant,
Yeah, that's mine too.
That's
Staying
yours.
Up too late, like.
Yeah.
I always be like, I'm gonna go to sleep early tonight. And
Yeah.
Then 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Girl, early where?
Early where? Yeah. I say for me, it's just procrastination. Like, and I feel like there's also a fine line between procrastination, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but procrastination and working better under pressure. I feel like I procrastinate because I do work better under pressure.
I saw that as a me.
You did? Oh my God. Right, like, it makes sense. That's fine.
Better me shows up.
No, for sure. Like, you said I got what? 1 hour? I got you. You know? And I actually feel like I showed up that way through my business when I, like, work with other creatives. I always say, like, I'm not here to, like, clock you. You don't need to clock in. I don't need to, like, monitor how much time you put into this project. I don't care if you do an hour before. As long as you get it done, you get it done. I think that's my procrastination showing up. Like, you can procrastinate on this because I do it too.
No, I can relate because even for me, like, sometimes I'll have client presentations and it'll be, like, at 12 p.m. or 11 a.m. And so I try to get it done at least the day before, but then I'll be so, like, wrapped up with other stuff, and then it'll be late. So I'm like, okay, I got time in the morning to do it.
Yeah.
And then I'll find myself doing it in the morning, and I might have 1 hour. It might be 10, and I have a presentation at 11, and I'm like,
yes,
to put it together. But it's like, it turns out great.
To be one of the best.
And also, I like it because, like, I didn't overthink it. I
Yes.
didn't have all this time ahead of me. I literally had an hour. What's going in is going in.
Yeah.
Presented, and it's wonderful. So it's also
Yeah.
just like, it's kind of like,
yeah, it's
that's
like,
why I do it, because otherwise I would have spent 6 hours on it.
Yeah.
When I could have got it done at the same quality in an hour.
In an hour.
I'm like,
you're
I have all
overthinking.
this time, so I'm lollygagging. But when I just have a focused hour, it's
Yeah, chef's kiss.
Chef's
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
But you know, how do we mitigate that? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's not the way to live all the time.
It's not the way to live all the time. You're right. It's not the way to live all the time. And like, I talk about this in our girlfriends group. Not a lot, but enough. Time blocking is important. Like, you remember we talked about that one time in our own conversation. Like, if you get a planner and just time block, then, you know, like, it'll help your day flow a little bit better or your week flow better. But it's just still something, even though I got time block, it's just still something about procrastination. Like earlier today, I had a nail appointment at 1:30. I left my house. Now, I didn't procrastinate getting ready, but I mean, I ended up leaving my house a little later because I did procrastinate, like wrapping up a project earlier today, you know? It's something about, and I didn't read this anywhere, but I do believe that this is true. It's something about our brains, like, unless you complete a project, your brain is telling you that you did not finish it. And so your brain's like, no, let's just keep going till it's like, it feels like conquered once you complete something. So yeah, like, again, I ain't read that nowhere, but whatever. But yeah, I feel like that's how my brain works. Like, until I feel like, oh, this is complete, I'm going to keep working on that thing. And that's what happened, like, earlier today. That was good. All right, well, I don't want to wrap this up. Like, I feel like this is just,
I still feel like we have a
little bit more.
segment.
Should we do another one?
Okay,
Or
yeah,
all
let's
right,
do
let's
more.
do another one. All right.
And
Should we
that
let
could
our
be
guest,
how
or
we
you want to
wrap.
do it, Chris?
Either way.
Let's
Go
do
ahead.
it. Hopefully, it's something we can all answer.
Yeah.
This little box is so cute.
What do you think will help improve our relationship?
Oh, look, we all.
We're glad.
He's gonna like say that.
Good question.
Am I supposed to answer this, or y'all gonna answer this?
Good question.
Let's all answer
I do
it.
have a thought. Well, you already kind of said that you and Chris could spend more intimate
Yes.
time together, but I really think that's the answer for all. More intimate time together, more intentional time together. I do think most of the time, most of the time when we get together, it is intentional.
It's very
but,
intentional.
sometimes our days can just, we can hang out and it's just like on the go and we're doing
Yeah.
stuff. But then there's times where we're sitting in your room, we're having a really good conversation.
Yeah.
And I think making time and space for those moments are good, and maybe just opening up and leaning on each other through different things. It doesn't have to be the worst thing. Right?
Yes.
It could just be something that happened through the day. Like,
Yes.
Girl nights, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Just a wine night at one of our houses.
Yes.
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 You know, just really, really quickly, like in our girlfriends chat, we have a good friend that's in our chat that has been the only child for all her life. And we were talking about how we feel like maybe this is your first time really experiencing sisterhood because you didn't grow up with siblings in your home, and how you can really just like lean in on us. It may not feel like natural to you because you didn't grow up with siblings, so you don't know what it's like to go home and talk to your big brother or your big sister. But like this is a space where we can be that support. We can be those sisters in your life where you can just talk to us about not only the bad but also the good, you know? And I can understand how that can be difficult. I'm not the only child, but I mean, I am the only girl on my mama's side. And so, like, I can only imagine what that's like growing up in a space, being the only child. You're the only child too, Chris.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I'm an only child.
Even though she's like so good at navigating spaces.
Yeah, so I am. I've always been an only child, and I always ask my parents, like, why did you have another kid? But anyway, I can relate to just being like, just independent and growing up. I entertained myself. I had imaginary friends.
What?
Yes.
I haven't heard that in so long.
Yes.
What am I
I had imaginary
What were their names, Chris?
everything. Girl, I don't even remember, but I used
Oh my
to
gosh.
have like imaginary family. Like I used to make up siblings.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my
I used to
goodness.
make up siblings. Like I remember
That's sweet, though.
when I was in like pre-K, I was 4. My my pre-K teacher actually thought I had a big brother because I was always going to school talking about
That's
my
scary.
big brother.
I said that's
No,
cute.
that's weird. That's weird.
That's weird.
But in my mind, I used to act like my dad was my big brother.
Oh my goodness. But yo, your mom and your dad, like your relationship with them is like this.
No, to this day, my dad's nickname is Butter. I
Uh-huh.
call him Butter because when I was little, I used to act like he was my big brother.
Mm-hmm.
And that just evolved
Butter.
into me calling him Butter. And now I'm 32 years old and I still call my dad Butter.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
when I was like 4,
Yeah.
I used to be like, oh, that's my big brother. But it was just like, it's my dad.
It's my dad.
But I
Oh
would go
my
to school talk
gosh.
about, oh, I got a big brother, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
And then my parents came and
Only
like,
Child Chronicles.
no, and then the teacher was like, oh, she was talking about her big brother. My parents was like, this girl is the only child.
But did your mom and dad know that you called your dad?
Yeah, they
Butter?
did, but it was just like this funny thing because
Yeah.
They probably
like,
didn't know
she
it
does not
transitioned to school too.
exactly.
And
Like
the
I'm
teacher,
over here telling stories
Yeah.
about my big brother, and they're like, "Girl, she not got no big brother." Like,
That would have
Anyway.
scared me. As your teacher hearing that, I would have probably got goosebumps. Like,
Like,
all
what's wrong
school
with
year,
her?
you
You know, but she's 4, so she's so
it
innocent.
was my imagination.
Yeah, your
I had a vivid
imagination.
and I was always writing stories about big ass families of like 6
Really?
kids, 5 kids. Yeah, and I think
Wow.
it's because like, oh, it's just me in this house, like me and my parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Do
so-
you like?
anyway.
Do you ever imagine yourself having like a big family, 5 or 6
I do.
kids?
Maybe not 5.
Okay.
The way this economy is set
Right,
up,
no, for
but
sure.
Maybe like 4, 3 to 4.
Really?
I could see. Yeah, because I don't want to have an only child like I was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel
Um,
like most
yeah.
only childs.
Mhm.
Is that the right way to say it?
Only
Most-
only child.
yeah.
Children.
Yeah, I think most of them say that. That's what I
Mhm,
usually hear. Is like,
Yeah, because it was kind of lonely. Like, I feel like I have a strong sense of self and a strong identity because of it. And
that is definitely.
I got a lot of love
That
from
is
my
her.
parents. I was spoiled.
That's our friend.
Yeah, no.
Very self-aware.
Yeah,
Very.
So, like, you have no other choice. I just wrote all the time. I was just writing and reading. So, like,
Wow.
yeah, I just entertain myself. So now I know how to entertain myself, and spending time alone is not scary for me. And I think for a lot of people who never spent time alone, it's like that can
Yeah.
be scary for people. But I've always been used to spending time alone.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I've always, I think, just had a strong sense of self. But at the same time, I don't want to just be the only one. For example, when my parents get older, it's just on me. It's literally just on me.
Yeah, that, God, you said so much there that I felt like I can relate to. Like I said, I'm not the only child, but reflecting on growing up, like I was the only one that grew up in that household. My oldest brother lived with his father in Baltimore. So, and then my younger brother didn't come till I was like 9 or 10. But 9 years of living just as the only child at that time, I gained, like a lot of self-awareness in a sense, that made sense to a 9-year-old, independency. I was involved in cheerleading, and by 9, I traveled to Africa and to Hawaii a few times for cheer and dance. So I really gained like a lot of sense of independency and self-awareness.
Because you had that only child experience.
That only child experience, although I had siblings, but that I definitely can relate to that. And I always wondered, like, now that I'm an adult, I don't mind traveling alone, but the world is just like for me too crazy to want to even consider that these days. But there was a time in my life where I didn't mind doing solo trips. Like I can get on the plane or get in a car and go somewhere by myself. And I really never knew where that came from.
I'm sure it was rooted in that 9 years experience.
That 9 years experience. So that makes, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing that, Chris.
But also, just to relate to your friend, how I think for me, it's not second nature to just lean on sisterhood or just like, being able to just call up my girls, like, because I don't really do that a lot. I don't really just call up. Like, sometimes I do, but I definitely could see myself just kind of leaning into that more, of having sisterhood and really, like, considering people like my sister. And I do, like, I have my sis, and everything like that. But I think it's different when you have that bond, that true,
For sure.
Like, this really feels like my sister. Even if it's not blood, but, like, really, this is somebody I talk to every single day. So, to go back to the original question, I think what GiGi said about spending more intimate time together and just pulling up, because I feel like if I had a real life sibling, I would just be at their house, they would be at my house, and I don't really do that right now in my life.
Gotcha.
I don't really, like, even my besties, I'm not just pulling up on them.
Really?
It's
so crazy, Chris. I feel like you be pulling up on all your besties.
No, I really don't. But I would want more of that, to be like, oh yeah, you could come over, like, let's have some wine. Like, I have my friends over sometimes, but it's more so planned. It's not just like, oh, what you want tonight? I'm about to pull up on you. So I would like more of that.
Nice. Okay. Building more intimacy.
So tomorrow, Ebony will be like,
yes, right. And I need to pull up on you.
You know you so well. Because
No,
I'm like really reflecting on a lot as I'm listening to you. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's why in the very beginning of our friendship, you would invite me to the lobby, but not to your actual apartment.
Oh, girl. No, that was more so because I didn't have no furniture yet. I had a futon as a couch.
I was like, really?
Pull up.
Yeah, I was like, maybe she'll trust me. I don't know. But we were spending like a lot of time. A lot.
That's because I was embarrassed because I had a
Really?
futon. Yes, girl.
But that's the power of sisterhood. It's like, even if you got that futon, but what?
Yeah,
okay.
But no, now, girl, you come
I
up.
sure
And
would.
Also, I don't have that muscle also of being like, oh yeah, just come on
Yeah,
over.
you don't have that
But,
muscle.
like, I don't mind it. Like, I love when my friends, like, what you doing? I love when they do come over, but I think I just don't have that muscle of, like, initiating, like, me pulling up or just having other people pull up, but I always welcome it. Like, you could always come over.
Yeah.
Like, for real. I'll be
Definitely noted.
Yes.
You're always welcome. Did you hear that, G?
No, for real.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Y'all, and I just got my new TV.
Yes.
So I got big girl TV now. So yeah, no.
Not big girl TV.
Girl, because before I had a little tiny TV.
I feel you. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Like my first apartment, well, my only apartment alone.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was good. All right, last one for the road. Y'all ready?
Okay.
You pulled that one? All right, so here, Chris. Go for it.
Okay. Our last question. Making sure Rich didn't see me almost spill it.
He said, not on my couch.
What do you think my biggest accomplishment is that I failed to recognize? Ooh.
We both looked at each other. G, you look like you got some.
Because I don't know the answer.
Your biggest accomplishment that I feel like you failed to. again, guys, we're not trying to show up like we're perfect, but this has really been the year where we both have done the self-work, and we both have just like practiced removing ourselves. You said this on an episode before, removing ourselves out of toxic situations.
Yes.
I was reflecting on that earlier.
Yeah, you know that's like real serious.
Kristen,
in my heart. Like,
I
wow.
was like literally reflecting on that earlier, and I was just like, damn, my girl did it.
Yeah,
You did it.
it was hard. It was hard. I got there though.
You got there, and it's like, again, we're not perfect, but like I really can't think of many moments or times where it's just like, damn, like you effed up again, friend. You know, like let's run this back. Let's rehearse this one more time. Let's get it right this time. Like, no, this has really been a really good soft girl era year for the both of
There
us.
were a lot of times where it got rough.
Cause, woo, for the both of us.
Toxicity was toxic.
It was last year, baby. So yeah, no, there's really nothing. I think that between the both of us, not only removing ourselves out of that situation, but just, you know, not really being a part of that, like that hustle and bustle, you know, because we've done the personal work and the inner work. It's like we can, and I was just saying this the other day, it's like I can feel or see the fruits of my labor, you know, because I'm not no longer chasing after the next thing that to fill this void or fill this cup, but it's like I've been able to go into this next thing with ease and not so much pressure, and now I can look back on it and I can say, you did that, girl, you know, and I can appreciate that more than I could have ever done last year. Like last year, I did a lot, but I don't recall. There were times when we would get on call and I'd be like, woo, guys, we did it. All right, what's next? You know, all in the same breath. But now I'm like, I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I really see the fruits of my labor this year, and I feel like we're both just really there.
Yeah, for
We're
sure.
there.
Like I can see that mirror as well, and I just know. I guess it was last year. I still remember that both of us were in relationships that we're no longer in, and they reminded me of each other, to be honest.
Yeah.
And just like, without going into too much detail, just kind of witnessing just some of that energy that was there in your previous relationship, and just kind of being like, dang, I can relate to this in mine, and just knowing for both of us, it wasn't the ideal situation.
Yeah.
And now we've both like evolved
We
past that.
evolved. There you go. Evolved. Damn. That's a lot to be thankful for.
It is. I
That's
also want
a
to
lot.
add too, if I could mention, or if I could answer the question from Gigi's perspective, what's your biggest accomplishment? So I'm answering this as somebody who we just started getting to know each other. I actually met you at Ebony's birthday party earlier this year.
Yes.
And I was like, who is this baddie?
Cause what? She's a baddie.
Super
Period.
baddie. Just hearing or just starting to follow you and having you on our team here at RLE, and just seeing how you show up for your family and show up in your life, and also hearing your story earlier of how you were really starting to take off in the whole social media influencer world. And something that I want to acknowledge you for is for you having that foresight to be like, let me step away because this is going in a direction that I don't feel comfortable with, or I don't feel like it's authentic to my image that I want to portray. And you stepped back and you carved out a different niche for yourself. And even if you didn't really know what that image or brand would look like at the time, you knew that wasn't it. And instead of just going with it, you stepped away and you said, I'm doing something else. And just how you pour into your family right now, your decision to even pour into them even more, I think that's amazing. And to also still know what your goals and dreams and purpose is, and to know that you want to pursue that. Now that you have such a greater like sense of self, I think that is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm inspired by that too. And as somebody who wants to be a wife, wants to be a mom, but also to honor my dreams, that is like a path that I'm very inspired by, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Taking on what Chris just said, you have everything you need to manifest your purpose. And I feel like also a thought that came to mind earlier when you were just speaking is that it really takes community, the right people in your life, right? Just kind of what we were talking about earlier, that when you have a calling and a purpose in your life, it's important to be around people who see that and who can be a support system to that. Our relationships, I would just speak for mine. My relationship last year wasn't so much of a support for my purpose, right? And I've learned this year that it's important for me to be surrounded by people who do support that. And so for you, girl, you got the friendships, you got everything you need to walk into your purpose. And for you, for us, I'm just glad that we are no longer in a space that wasn't serving us, and we're now in spaces that do serve us. And that's what's going to get us to our purpose. That's what's going to help us. Like we can leverage this sistership here to get to our purpose, to get to the next level in life. And I'm just so thankful.
I would love that. Yes,
I'm
I
so
love
thankful.
that. Yeah.
Well, cheers to friendship and purpose
Yes, and new friends.
and new friends. Cheers.
New and old.
Yes, new and old. Did y'all know that if you don't look at me in your eyes when you sip your wine, you're going to have 7 years of bad sex?
Yeah.
Did you? So,
Jesus.
Right. Eyes. I forgot about that though. I did forget.
yeah, I learned that when I was overseas. Where did you learn that at? And that is all she wrote. That is the end of our show today. Oh, this is the Chris.
No, honestly.
I am
As
hot.
soon as you said that, I just flashed back to
That-
that I used to fuck with.
We're going to have to continue that conversation on the next episode. But hey, guys, we really do appreciate you all for tuning in to part 2 of Friendship and Purpose. This was such a great conversation.
It was.
So great. And again, thank you to our first guest, GiGi, my best friend of 15 plus years.
Love it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, Chris, you want to close us out?
So make sure you follow us at the RLE Pod. We are on Insta, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yes.
Anything else I forgot?
No, I think that's it.
Follow us and look out for our email newsletter. I need y'all to subscribe. We're going to have giveaways. We're going to have love letters. That's
Yes.
that's an email that you will look forward to, I promise. So
We
look
did
out.
miss one thing. Just really quickly, what is one thing that we are looking forward to real lifing after this episode? I'll start. More intimate time.
Me too. That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
The friendships and the bonds growing even
Yeah.
closer. I can't wait for that.
Yes. All right. But that's it, guys. We love you. Mean it. Bye.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of the Real Life Everything podcast.
Yes. Make sure you use our hashtags on social media, the RLE Pod and Real Life Everything.
And don't forget to follow us on all platforms. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at the RLE Pod.